Yeah, to be honest with you, look, coming from Pakistan, I know there's been advancements there now, but football wasn't a thing. It was all cricket and hockey and other sports.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Total Sport on this beautiful morning. And today we're joined by Danish. And today, well, you've seen a video with Adil Shah talking about Islam in the media, and I thought we'd be really good to have an actual player who plays for one of the teams. So, Danish, how are you? You good?
Good morning, Chris. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, all good, mate. Getting by. We're in lockdown. Had some good news come from Downing Street, so hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly. So first off, Danish, we'll talk about sort of the start for you when it comes to football. So tell me about when you first kicked a ball, really.
So do you know what? I started late. I must have been around 13, 14. So I myself come from immigrant parents who migrated to England when I was around 10, 11 years old. So parents made that choice for us to come here, for their children to have a better life. And it wasn't until a few years later that once I got integrated into society, into community here, which took a bit of time, I started playing football. So I started quite late on, but haven't looked back since.
Yeah, definitely. So talk to me about sort of when you first arrived, getting to know, like, integrated into the culture. Did you feel like maybe football wasn't your thing to begin with? Is that why you started late?
Yeah, to be honest with you, look, coming from Pakistan, I know there's been advancements there now, but football wasn't a thing. It was all cricket and hockey and other sports. So I guess in South Asia generally, back 20 years, 30 years ago, football wasn't really. Yeah, there was pockets where society will play, but as I said, the main sports were you'd find your racket sports, so badminton, cricket, hockey. So those were the sports, and football wasn't. Even when I was in school, in primary school, there we weren't taught football. We were taught cricket. So here to come here and be surrounded by football, that was my first sort of flavor of football, and it just took me from there.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll talk about sort of your faith as well. So in terms of combining that with football at the moment, obviously you see nowadays there's more and more people just spread into different backgrounds and stuff. But for yourself, was there any difficulties playing football as Islam?
So I guess in terms of so we always used that as friends. We always used to get together, go down to your goals and your power leagues and play together and play in leagues and stuff. But I guess it wasn't until I'd say 2012 where one of the members of our community, his name's David Lackey, so basically our community is split into different regions across London and the UK. So he got together with a few of his mates, a few of the boys from his region, around the Tolworth and Morden, Tolworth, Kingston, that sort of area. And he said, look, why don't we enter a 11-a-side football team? Just play Sunday league. And to be honest, I guess what I can talk about our community is before that point, we never really played 11-a-side. The focus was all on 5-a-side, 7-a-side, kicking football with your mates. I guess there wasn't a strong focus in terms of, right, let's focus on 11-a-side. Yeah, there were boys who were, playing for clubs separately, going for trials and stuff like that. So, there were the talents there. But I guess it wasn't until, the early, 2011, 2012, where I guess as a community, we started venturing into 11-a-side. And in the beginning, it was just a few mates kicking about, but because our community is so tightly knit, there was a lot of interest. And there was a point where we had around 4 or 5 teams across London, including a youth team as well. But yeah, it was in the beginning it was difficult because 11-a-side is a different game, but in terms of kind of feel like whether we belong there, in the beginning, I feel like some of us felt like we didn't, just because of, I guess, grassroots and the way it is, and obviously naturally there's going to be some points where you're going to get racially abused, and there's going to be those sort of scenarios. But now 10 years down the line, we're going strong. Trying to climb the ladder of football. We're a bit far off at the moment. We just play, I think, step 11 or 12 or whatever it may be. But we've definitely had progress from those days, and I think teams around us have got to know us as well, got to know us a bit more. And I think it's an education piece in terms of teams around you, people around you, and kind of just telling them this is actually who we are, and we don't really represent what you might see in mainstream media.
Yeah, so that's a good segue. Actually, I want to talk about mainstream media and how people from Islamic faith sort of perceive it, because obviously since I've been growing up, I grew up and there's been very, very limited positive coverage for a faith that is so peaceful. So what, in terms of personal perspective for yourself, how have you viewed mainstream media coverage of Islamic events?
I mean, as in general, it's I guess it's very one-sided in terms of you get people who are fanatics and they are extremists, and I think that those are the only parts of Islam that do get portrayed in the media. Yeah, but sometimes you might get a good story come out here and there, but I just think it's more selling a story for numbers. And if you have someone doing, it's not even just religion or Islam, I think you don't really hear any good news stories. It's all about death and this and that, and I guess that's what sells. But as you mentioned, Chris, in terms of Islam, is for people that might not know, the actual meaning of Islam is peace. It's a peaceful religion. We practice it as a peaceful religion. But unfortunately, those things that we do, and our community, so I belong to the Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth community, and well, the Ahmadiyya community, Ahmadiyya Muslim community, and the youth is just a part of, I guess, the youth part of that community. And we do, a lot of charity work, a lot of community work throughout our whole communities, for a whole society. And there's very minimal coverage of that, and that's just our community. Islam is massive, with billions of people in the world, and 99% of Muslims are peaceful. But you only hear about that 1% that are extremists, and you get that in every religion, in every society. But I just feel like there's a fanaticism around Islamic extremism, which gets the news, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely, and it is unfortunate, but that's what we're trying to do today: give some coverage to the positive stuff, especially in this time. So, in terms of COVID and lockdown, how has that meant for you in terms of both religious-wise, your faith, and of football?
Yeah, so obviously, faith-wise, we're luckily now, mosques are still open, so we're able to go to the mosque and perform the prayers. But obviously, it's not the same. And football-wise, we haven't played any football for the last 2 seasons, which has been, I guess, it's been for everyone at grassroots, which is which is a struggle. A lot of people are really, for a lot of people, it's their way of getting away from things. It's getting away from maybe problems at home, at school, at work, whatever it may be. Is to go out and enjoy yourself, spend time with your friends. And so right now, those, I guess, for the last year and a half, we haven't had those opportunities to do that. So as our club, as I said, we haven't played any football for the last 2 seasons. Hopefully we're planning for to be playing next season, but it has had an impact where we've lost a lot of interest, because I guess everyone's focusing on their own things. So that'll be a big challenge for us to get the interest back, get people back on it. It's much harder with a younger generation. I guess our generation, it was a lot easier because we didn't have all these different other things that people do now, with social media and going out and working. Like when I was growing up, if I did work, I'd work to get new football boots, or I work to pay for my, for the reg fee for the season. But right now, what we're seeing, especially in our community as well, is kids are interested in other things. Not, they might be talented footballers, but they're not really interested. And I guess that's just, the time that we live in, and all these different, I guess, different things that have come up now, which weren't there when we were growing up.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of like, people and teams that you've played for and against, what's been the most positive moments that have come out of you playing football?
Mm. So I think the biggest, as I briefly mentioned earlier, was really integrating into society, and really kind of, getting a chance to not just educate people, but to actually show them what, us as Muslims, how we are and who we are. Because unless, and we're kind of blessed living in London, that it's such a multicultural area, and you kind of come across all different sorts of people, and from different faiths and different backgrounds. But especially, like, there was a point where we had a team up north, so in the Manchester area, and that team, it was their main accomplishment was integration into society, where letting people know this is who we are, this is what we do, and people, they've never come across, or had any sort of interaction with a Muslim person. So, and it was kind of the same in the London area as well, where so when we wear our shirts, we have our, where you put your sponsor, we have our logo and our message, which is love for all, hatred for none. So showing that was, conversation starter first of all. So, when we used to play teams, they'd be like, what's that about? And then we used to have that conversation with them. We're like, oh, okay, we didn't even know that. So I think it was just getting the message out there for us, and letting people know that, look, we're just normal people, just like yourselves, just trying to play football and have fun. So I think the integration part was the main thing that we've accomplished.
Yeah, and it's a brilliant achievement. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, Danish. It's been really, really good to get your perspective on things. Where can we go and find yourself and your football clubs on social media and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we've got a Twitter handle and an Instagram handle as well. It's A.M.Y FC. So it's pretty straightforward. So A.M.Y FC. And if you just put that in, you'll get loads of information come up on the web. So if people want to find a bit more about us, who we are and what we're trying to do, then you can just go online and just look at A.M.Y FC.
It's amazing. Well, everyone go drop them a follow. And yeah, well, thank you once again, Danish, for joining us. It's been really, really good. For anyone who enjoyed this content and wants to see more of it, make sure you subscribe down below. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.